Everybody to our fourth community conversation dealing with Confederate Monument. I'm Archie Jones, Human Relations Director for the city.
Thank you, fam.
Again, thank you for coming out and sharing your valuable time this July evening with us. We really appreciate that. We've had 3 previously very productive meetings that collect a lot of information. We really appreciate that. And it looks like this will be our final meeting. See a couple of new faces here tonight, which is good, outstanding. We also have with us again from WPR consultant Willie Rashford, our shop. He will facilitate this. And we have also tonight my staff and the Human Relations Commission and a couple of members from the MLK Commission and other community partners. So we want to thank all of you. I will turn it over to Mr. Willie.
Okay, good evening, and how is everybody? Okay, thank you all again for your participation in these community dialogues, and especially those of you who seem to have gotten addicted to the process because you've been here every night that we've actually had a discussion, which is a good thing. One of the things that we've realized in having these conversations over the past several weeks is that there is a deep need for education around this particular monument. And the way that you educate yourself is to come out every week and to hear the different perspectives that might be in the community. Very often when we do things like this, we're looking for the extremes. It's either you're right or you're wrong about it. And as I've mentioned in previous sessions, very often there's a lot in the middle ground regarding a conversation like this. And that's one of the things that people have been concentrating on in the conversations that we've had over the past several weeks. Archie and I were just discussing a minute how we're going to bring you all up to have a conversation. And I think based upon the numbers that we have, we're going to break you up into 3 tables of 5. One table might even possibly be 6 people. And then we're going to assign a moderator, table moderator to each of those 3 tables, and we will also assign a scribe who will be working with the group to take notes. And then we will have some extra commissioners and extra MLK members, MLK Commission members who have either moderated or worked as scribes over the past couple of weeks and who might want to participate in the conversation. So we're going to allow those folks to have an opportunity to sit at one of the 3 tables as a participant in the conversation. And so before I talk about what we're here for tonight, or more about that, I'm going to go ahead and do the numbers first. So I'm going to sit this down and then walk around and get the numbers set up the way that I want them. And if you were not a staff person or a commission member, MLK or the Human Relations Commission, raise your hand if you're not. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So maybe we'll do this 4, 4, 4, 5. Yeah. How about 4, 4? Okay, 4, 4, 5. Okay, I'm about to say. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to count off 1, 2, 3. Raise your hands again. 1, 2, 3, 1, 3. Okay. I need all the 1s to get at one table, all the 2s to get at the table, and all the 3s to get at the table. The other purpose for this is we want you to be talking to someone other than who you came here with tonight. So 1 together, 2 together, 3 together. Please. The ones who come here, 2s who come here, and 3s who go over there. Okay.
Right. Joe, you moderate the table?
All right, let's hear it for Joe.
Note taker for,
A note taker. Is that a note taker? Note taker, all right.
taker two, Teresa. All right. Taker three. All right. This one will be facilitators. Okay. You joining?
Arch, my man need a table though.
We didn't have smaller batteries for the shop. We did the we've had stitches this summer. We have stitches, batteries. Yeah, yeah. So that's it. I only have one girl. Yes. Yes.
Okay, now that we have gotten our table situated, we have participants, we have table moderators, and we have scribes. Let's talk about why we're here tonight. We're not, this is not a debate, this is not an argument, this is not about who's right or wrong, this is not about coming to any singular conclusion about the monument, whether it should stay or whether it's going to be removed. This is a conversation that is designed to help us identify the many different perspectives regarding the monument that exists in the community of Rocky Mountain. This is a safe space to actually have a conversation. Each of you should have a sheet of paper where I'm going to quickly read the purpose. Yes, sir. Okay, you're good? Okay, so our purpose tonight is to provide an opportunity for honest dialogue, input, and feedback around a potentially difficult community issue. And that issue is the Rocky Mount Confederate Monument at Battle Park. The idea is to examine personal reactions to present-day and historical issues in Rocky Mount related to the Confederate monument. The goal is to provide a safe space where a group of diverse citizens and residents of Rocky Mount can openly share their thoughts, their feelings and ideas, and hear from others, and provide public input to City Council as it considers how to address this issue moving forward. I've heard a lot of talk that there's talk in the community that City Council has already made up its mind what it's going to do. That is not true. That is not true. They are considering what they might do, but they made it clear that as a result of this process, they want to hear from you, the citizens, first before they make any decisions. A little background information on your sheet. The Rocky Mount Confederate Monument at Battle Park is viewed as a historical marker to many and a symbol of hate to others. That is the reality, or at least two of the realities that exist in this community regarding the monument. The monument was erected in 1917 on private land, which was gifted to the city of Rocky Mount in the 1970s. The monument has a large square base and a Confederate soldier placed atop a tall Corinthian-style column. The soldier atop the monument stands at attention with a Confederate flag at his side, and CSA, or Confederate States of America, and 3 rifles are engraved in the front of the platform. Originally, a statue of a soldier sat atop 4 short columns at each corner of the base of the monument. The statues were removed years ago due to vandalism, according to information from the Library of the University of North Carolina, at Chapel Hill. The monument, which used to be part of the Rocky Mount City logo, was removed from the logo sometime after the year 2000. Some residents in Rocky Mount have asked that the monument be removed, while others have asked that it be left in place. A North Carolina law, which was enacted in 2015, prevents removing, relocating, or altering monuments or public property without permission from the North Carolina Historical Commission. And there may be some other background information that you all will learn as a result of having a conversation with each other tonight. We do have some guidelines for discussion as you all are deliberating tonight and sharing your thoughts. And there at the bottom of your sheet, it says, speak for yourself, use what we call I statements, meaning that you should speak in what we call the I singular versus the I plural. Very often as an African-American male, I'm asked the question, well, really, what are black folk thinking? Well, there are 40 million black folk in this country. I have no idea what the hell they're thinking, but I can tell you what I'm thinking, okay? Share airtimes with others, that is, no one speaks twice before everyone speaks at least once. In other words, if you're that person who has the ability to just suck all of the air out of the room, you can't do that tonight. We want everybody to suck all of the air out of the room. We want you to listen actively to others, keeping in mind that there's a difference between actively listening to a person and hearing what a person has to say. In terms of your listening, there's a reason that the word silent and the word listen contain the same letters. That's intentional. Avoid using your cell phone during the conversation. Follow directions from the moderators and be respectful, because tomorrow, after all, tomorrow is another day. We do have some questions on the back of that first page. These will be the questions that you're going to be responding to when you have your conversation. And your table moderators will advise you to, they're going to give you about 3 to 5 minutes of silent reflection because we really want you to think about these questions before you start responding to them. But the questions are, what feelings do you have about the Confederate monument at Battle Park? What about your own identity and your lived experience inform these feelings? So you're going to be speaking from a personal level in responding to that question. Secondly, what are your thoughts and feelings about how the history and presence of the Confederate monument at Battle Park impacts other people in the room or other people in the community? So you're moving from personal, then you move into community. And then thirdly, what suggestions, ideas do you have for members of the Rocky Mount City Council regarding the Confederate monument at Battle Park for a diverse community? And Rocky Mount is a very diverse community that has to be kept in mind. And finally, number 4, if the city of Rocky Mount is to move forward on this particular issue, what are you personally willing to do to make it happen? Very often when we have things in the community that potentially has that can be controversial, everybody sort of sits back and says, well, what are they going to do? Well, we don't want to know what they're going to do. We want to know what you're going to do, okay? Now, some of you will get through your conversations quickly, and you may have some other questions. So if you look on that third page, we have some additional examples that are related to question number 4. So if Rocky Mount as a community is going to address the issue of the monument in a way that most, if not all, residents are okay, then what is each individual in the city personally willing to do to make it happen? And some examples of things that you might do is that you might host conversations with friends and their associates. You might change your position on what should be done with the monument. You may help to educate the community on the history, and the history is real crucial and very important. You can help raise money to move it or expand it to honor all groups in the community. You can locate it to a more suitable spot for it. You can work to help people understand it better. You can address more pressing issues in the community. And this list can go on and on and on. But the bottom line is, what are you personally willing to do? How can you make it happen? I'm going to assume that there are no questions at this point, and at this time, the table moderators will take over the conversation. I'll say a few things before we actually get to that. My first observation is that as I was walking around to the different tables, this has been really, really deep and insightful and thoughtful conversation. I'm appreciative that you all have actually participated tonight. I have been doing human relations work for about 38 years now, and one of the things that I've come to realize is that it is very difficult for black folk and white folk to sit down and have a conversation about race. And this is a conversation that lends itself to race. There's no way we can get around this conversation and not say anything about race. And I want this group of black folk and white folk in this room to to realize tonight, and we've said this to the other group, y'all just had a really difficult conversation about race. And if you look out the back window back there, the world did not come to an end. It's still out there, and it's still functioning in the way that it was functioning when we got here. So that means that you can continue to have this conversation, and it is my hope that some of you might invite each other to supper or lunch or breakfast or over to each other's office or homes and continue this conversation. There's been a lot of talk about the need for education in this process, and you all talking to each other is the biggest component of education that's actually going to happen, because you're learning about how other people in this community might feel about something that you feel about. One of the interesting things, again, is that these are things I've shared with the previous groups. I live in Charlotte, and we have a public cemetery called Elmwood Cemetery. And Elmwood Cemetery has some Confederate soldiers who were buried in the cemetery. And there's a group that was proud of that, and they kept the grave sites up, and they put out plants, and they just had this continual beautification program. And they were so proud of the work that they did that they decided that they would let City Council know about this work. And so they took a lot of pictures of the site that they were keeping up, and they developed it into a PowerPoint. They took it down to City Council, and they showed the PowerPoint presentation. And about halfway through the presentation, one of the council members, a black male, said, "Is that a Confederate flag on one of the pictures?" And they said, "Oh," and everybody got all crazy and excited. And the crazy thing about that is that the damn flag had been there for 20 years, and nobody didn't know about it, and it didn't matter. But all of a sudden, it was the most important thing in the world. If we don't deal with this, we're gonna go crazy. And the community was going crazy over something that had been sitting there, which raises the question. As your consultant, I have no opinion on whether the community should maintain the monument or remove it. I would ask this question though. For those of you who would want it removed, if it's not removed, you need to ask yourself, how is it going to impact your life? Is it going to change your life, or if you wanted to stay in this move, does it really impact your day-to-day life? It has been amazing the number of people that have participated in these sessions who had no idea that you had a monument until they heard about it a few months ago, and they come here and had this discussion. And again, it had not been impacting people's lives. Again, a lot of this is around the issue of race, and the sad part about that is that there really is no such thing as race. It's something that human beings made up about 400 years ago. But there is no such thing as race. I'm willing to bet $1 to a donut that everybody in this room tonight is racially mixed. There are no pure white people here. There are no pure black folk here. There are no pure Asian folk here. There are no pure Hispanic, Latino. Everybody in this room tonight is racially mixed. There are no subspecies of human beings. There's just one species of human being. Scientists in their work on the human genome have determined that the human beings, no matter where we come from on the face of this earth, genetically we are 99.9% alike. And what that means is that there's a good possibility that you and I are more alike genetically than Archie and I are. These things that we call race, these markers that we call race, hair texture, color of your skin, the broadness of your features, this is simply nature's way of protecting you from the harmful rays of the sun. And so if you go back far enough with your distant ancestors, the closer your ancestors were to the equator, the darker their skin, the coarser their hair, the broader their features. And the further away they were from the equator, the lighter, the narrower, the finer your hair, the lighter your skin, and the narrower your features. It is simply nature's way of protecting us all from the harmful rays of the sun. But we human beings took those markers and we made them into race. We made it up, y'all. It just does not exist. As I said, if each of us in this room would go take a genetics test, you would be amazed at the result. You're not going to come back thinking the results you get back you will not be who you think that you are. You're going to be somebody totally different, and you will be amazed. But we're all racially mixed. And I'm hoping that and understanding and perhaps talking about it as a community, that will help you all to realize that we need to come together and collaborate to create the win-win elaborated, you put in place a process where whatever decision is made, it is a decision that everybody, the majority of the citizens and residents in this community will feel that the right decision was made. And who is to say what that decision is? One of the interesting parts of the conversation that I heard, my sister here made a really good point that has caused me to think about this thing. What is your name? No, let's hear from you because that was a good point. There was talk about how the monument was rededicated to make it a monument that recognizes all war dead from all wars. And that's cool, but image is powerful. And if you were to walk by and look at the image, you would not know that. So if you really want to make it a place that's dedicated to everybody, then you should be able to walk by it, and when you see it, without reading anything, when you see it, you should be able to recognize that, wow, this represents everybody. This represents soldiers from each and every war that may have happened in this country over our 400-year history. And you see it, but you don't see that when you look at it. You may go up and read a little plaque that says that, but most folk don't go up and read the plaque. They drive by and they see it. And if you can see it off from a distance and you see all of this diversity that's represented, and that's cool. And actually, it shouldn't be diverse, it should be inclusive. Because diversity means that you're invited to the party. Inclusive means that you've been invited to the party and asked to dance. And there's a difference, okay? So with that, we're gonna have each table to share some of the highlights from your conversation with the rest of the folk in the room. And we can start with the table here, or if you all don't want to go first, I'll make them go first. Here we go. Okay, thank you, Joe.
This is a table of historians and educators. That primarily is the emphasis here in terms of what the monument means to folks and where we should be going. So one, we need to know the history, not just the history of the monument, but full history, and things should be done to help educate. A bit of talk about respecting what the monument was created for, and broadening it out in more inclusive in that sense. A bit of conversation about where we go from here with that monument, and the idea is like here is keeping it where it is, but to beautify the area, add other monuments perhaps there or around town, recognize other individuals or groups we can see. It's just about everybody is willing to help that happen.
Does anyone else at the table want to add anything to what Joe has said? Y'all good? Okay, let's hear for this table. We'll go to this table now.
At this table, we've met a lawyer, as well as a historian, a resident who's been in the area for a while. Several people have traveled all over the country, and we have covered the area as well. And the conversation, we listened to the different opinions, kept hearing the
area, list all the wards, but it can be very inclusive in that way. And many of us on opposite ends of this discussion agreed that that would be a unifying, a way to unify the community instead of creating this division about moving or keeping but an alteration to reflect what happened 40 years ago with the rededication.
Anyone else before we move to the next table? Okay, let's hear from this table then. And then we'll hear from the table back here. And one great idea that happened at this table, someone mentioned the possibility of a walking path, and I hope that you all bring that idea up and put it into the room. So whoever. Somebody do it. The same idea,
Table number 3, we had an awesome discussion, different point of views, but everyone was very respectful of each other. Some of the key words that resonated with me was sensitivity, sovereignty, treason, and of course, like everyone else, education. Some of the comments were made that to some, the Confederacy equals oppression, and they do not agree with honoring it. Some people feel indifferent, they're not affected. We have too many other issues that we need to be concerned about, and everyone should have a voice. Everyone's opinion should be heard. The statute represents Confederacy, which represents oppression again, and that leaves some people without a voice. Some people believe that the historical aspect of the statute needs to be represented. It should not be taken away simply because it's unpleasant for some people. Some people consider it a symbol of honor. And of course, like the other tables, education, more education. Some people believe that we have been miseducated or we just have bits and pieces of education, especially about the Confederacy and the monument itself. Like everyone else, we need more monuments to make others feel included. Some people felt that the war, the act of it itself, was very noble. We had some discussion about slavery, of course, and it was stated that it should not be overlooked. It should not be glossed over. Some people felt like everyone does not deserve to be honored. It's okay not to honor a legacy, especially if you don't agree with it. Conversation was had that we need to come together, but it's a little more complicated than that. Some of these issues are deep-rooted. Some people believe that Confederacy is a mindset of control. No honor there. We also had some conversation about inclusion, which equals diversity, which equals more harmony among us all. We need to have more conversations like this. We need more people, more community to come together and participate in the conversations. We need more discussions like this in the schools, in the community, throughout. And all groups to be recognized. Everyone's important. Everyone should be recognized. We need to be more forthcoming in these discussions. Not just forthcoming in discussion, but act upon it after we talk about it. But like everyone else, add a plaque to the monument. Recognize the rededication of it. Include a walking trail with different plaques to represent and honor all. More education, more conversations, even donate funds, whatever cause, and possibly a museum come to Rocky Mountain. Did I leave anything out? Anybody like to add anything?
Anybody else want to add something? Yes, sir.
First of all, I'd like to commend the city of Rocky Mount for hosting this and really.
Let's hear from Rocky Mountain.
These discussions have been invaluable. I think the city council of Rocky Mount has been able to develop a great volume of information here and citizen concern. I think it'll be helpful in helping them move forward their decision-making process. I'd like to encourage everyone to make plans to become a part of the new Rocky Mountain Museum that's in development right now. We've had a couple of meetings. We're having another meeting next week, next Wednesday at 3 o'clock at the Bradley Library. The plan is to trace the history of Rocky Mountain from early beginning all the way up to modern time. We're going to have a lot of different discussions ongoing here. We've got a building done it already, and so plans are moving forward. I'd like to encourage everyone to come out and be a part of that next Wednesday at 3 o'clock at Bradley Library.
And we met a couple of weeks ago, and there was an African American male who was here, and he was from Birmingham, Alabama, I believe. And he said, but he said, we're having these same discussions in Birmingham, Alabama, except we're screaming and hollering at each other. He said, but here we're having a conversation. We're actually talking to one another. And that's because you all have created a process for respectful dialogue in a safe space. And I think whatever outcome you all have in the end is going to be different than it might be in other communities. I believe I heard my sister say that you all had mentioned that you all should have more community dialogue like this. If you do, I'm a really great consultant and I'll
You taught Archie all your tricks, now he can do it himself.
There you go. And that's not just Archie, but the commission as well. Commission as well. But then let's hear it for this thing. Again, I want to thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to be here tonight. While we didn't have a room full of people, the people here who are here are important. You all have some really important and great things to say. And this information will eventually be added to the information that we collected from the other meetings. And at some point, the Human Relations Commission will all come together to look at all of this information in tight form, and we'll start working on a report that will be sent to City Council at some point, as I understand the process. I would recommend that the city, as the city develops this, the city has to be real transparent to make sure that the community knows exactly what they're doing and where they are in terms of steps in this process. And Archie and I have talked about getting together with the commission to look at the information that we've collected from these meetings. And then there's a lot of repetition, but a lot of good stuff. We need to sort of harvest things down to make it into a really nice, concise report to present to City Council so that they can make whatever decision they make based upon the feedback that they got from their community. And with that, if you all have anything else, I will put it down. Yes. You're right. I'm so sorry. Based upon the conversation that we've had here tonight, we're going to go around the room and we'll start at the table here and come around. I need each of you to share one word which describes how you're leaving here in reaction to the conversation that you had tonight. One word which describes how you're leaving here tonight.
Hopeful.
Helpful?
Hopeful.
Hopeful. Inclusive? Now, before we couldn't get him to shut up.
You're right. You were doing everything somebody said. Won't supposed to be included. Everything knows
Interest. Encourage. Curious. Hopeful. Inspiring. Hopeful. Hopeful. Optimistic. Optimistic. 2 words. Innovation. And thinking. Okay? We did you right. Hopeful. You gotta get that one. I'm going to give you 2 lights here too. Yes, sir. Inform. Enthused. Please. Inclusive. Trust. Hopeful. Encourage. Optimistic. Informed. And encourage. Okay. Relieve.
This part,
And relieve is a big word, trust me. Before we leave, I want to thank some people. I want to thank Willie, the PR consultant. Our community is changing. The world is changing, but I think our community is probably changing probably the most from the way things used to be. And it's a good thing. And
Me too.
it was mentioned here that we should have more of these conversations. And trust me, we will. This was the beginning. We hope to have a series of community conversations based on different topics, based on topics that the community think are that we need to talk about. Race was mentioned in this meeting. I can't think of a better process to get, I can't think of a better subject to show that this community can have tough conversations on a difficult issue and no one leaves here upset. It's very encouraging. I want to thank you for that. Thank you for the volunteers, the Human Relations Commission. I know this is a challenge. We spent a lot of time talking, trying to figure out what we're going to do, but we're here. I think we are in a place we can move forward. Thank you for the other volunteers, MLK Commission, and we have some more community volunteers also, so you're very much appreciated. We have a format, thank you, Willie. So when we embark on our next community conversation, I want you all to be a part of that, invite your friends, and we're going to continue to move this community forward. Have a nice evening.
Can I say one thing? Is there a timeline or a process of what happens next? I mean, does the city council consider this for a year? Does the city council look at it for 6 months? Is there, I'm just curious, and if there's not, but is there?
Well, actually, no. When this process started, it was like we thought we could get done quickly, but we realized that you can't rush this. So we're we're not planning by ear, but we're going along and making sure we cover all bases. And it's not going to be that much longer before we make the report on the report gets to the city council. Now, what city council does after that, and again, if it takes 3 months to the next 2 years, I think the important thing is that the relationship that this community builds, that we build the relationships, and that's the most important thing.
One quick thing before we leave. I want to commend the table moderators and the scribes. Over the 3 or 4 weeks that we've actually done this, I have watched you guys grow tremendously. And as I was listening to you tonight, you guys are really great at this. Keep up the good work.
With that said, you all have a nice evening. Thank you.